I'm not going to pull up any article.
All right.
I'm not going to talk about any news.
All right.
Let's just talk about life for a minute.
Okay.
Beth, you recall the conversation we
Yep.
had earlier today? Okay. Beth and I were talking about priorities, I think is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay. And I wanted to do this, son, because I thought you could benefit from this. And quite honestly, those of you out on the interwebs could definitely benefit from this too. We are way too focused as individuals, as a society, as a country, as a world, quite frankly, on all of the things that don't matter.
Yes.
For example, you have to look at... Let's do it this way. So if you look behind me, there's a bunch of Legos. All right, we build Legos here. We like our Legos.
Yeah.
All right. How do you start building Legos? You start with one brick.
Mm-hmm.
And then you build upon that brick. And you
Yeah.
keep building and you keep building and you keep building until you get something beautiful. Assuming you built it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How we should be approaching anything in our lives, again, whether it be at a personal level or a
State,
community,
federal. Yeah.
state, federal, country, world, whatever, should be starting with that base brick
Foundation.
and building out. You start with the foundation. Think of anything else in life. Your house that you're sitting in right now. It's built upon what? It's built upon a foundation.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Beth and I were talking, and if I may disclose kind of a little bit of the
no, go ahead.
personal end
Yeah.
of what we were talking about. We recognized as we were talking within ourselves, just an example, it's very easy for us, and I think we have a fairly strong marriage, but we are guilty quite often of looking past the foundation for us, which would be our relationship, and going on to all of the other things that are going on at the expense of our relationship.
Yes.
So we skip over that foundational piece and we go, well, we've got this person that has to be taken care of, or this fire that has to be put out, or this piece of our business that demands our attention, or this bill that has to be paid, or whatever the case may be. And we fail to recognize that all of that stuff is meaningless and all of that stuff collapses if we don't first take care of the foundational piece, which in the case of your mother and I, son, is the two of us.
Yeah.
If we can't have that foundational piece be solid and build off of it, you suffer.
Yeah.
Because you're not in a home that's the best it can be. You're not being modeled what a true marriage should look like. So when you get to the point in your life where you choose to go down that road, you have a roadmap of what it should look like. You know, the other people that we take care of in this house would suffer because we're too busy trying to figure ourselves out to be able to, when we're figured out, take care of them, all of those things. But this doesn't just apply to us, it applies to everything. If we take it to a more national level, what's everybody focused on right now? We're focused on things like what's going on in Israel and Gaza. We're
Yeah.
focused on the Ukraine.
Yeah.
We're focused on just things that don't matter here in our world. But what are our foundational pieces? Well, didn't we just kind of cover some of it in segment 1?
Yeah.
Who are we putting in office to lead us? Because that is our choice.
Yeah.
What is our economic situation looking like? Before we go send billions off to everybody else, how are we doing?
Which we've done multiple times this year already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, how are we doing? What's going on in our world? We're skipping right over that.
Yeah. And all these businesses are closing and people are losing jobs and we're sending all of our money to other countries. That
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
But we skip over the foundational pieces of what builds our country.
Yeah.
And then what's the result? Our country's collapsing.
Yeah.
Because we're all off focused on something else. That's a luxury item. And I I'm sure that anybody from Israel or Ukraine would be like, what are you calling us a luxury item? For us, it's a luxury item. Sorry. To have to worry about you is something that, and I call it a luxury item because that would be something that we should be doing when all our stuff is hunky-dory.
Yes.
Yeah.
No disrespect. I don't want you worrying about us. You worry about you. You do you. We should be doing us. But we don't. And, you know, in that, you can keep going on and on and on. You could look at it from a NATO perspective. And what's NATO focused on? Well, NATO isn't focused on what NATO needs. It's focused on what Ukraine needs. Ukraine isn't part of NATO yet.
Yeah.
And I hope it never becomes part, but it's going to. You know, it's... Until we can figure out, and I think it starts at the individual level. Again, if you haven't heard us say this before, the whole reason that we do this podcast and the whole reason that we hope that people watch and we hope that it continues to grow is because we're trying to model the idea of family here. To be able to talk as a family, to be able to discuss some things, agree, disagree, flesh out ideas, all of that. Because that's foundational. That's what's important.
Yeah.
And that's where it should start. Are you doing this within your circle? Are you focused first off on what's most important and then working out from there? Or are you skipping over all of that stuff and going to the bright, shiny object off in the distance, which, you know, might give you a feel-good moment where you can put some flag up on your bio that says you support this or that, but ultimately is meaningless and does nothing for your own life? You know, how are you handling it? If you're handling it like that, you're in trouble and things will crumble.
Yeah.
That kind of rhymed.
Trouble and crumble? A little bit.
A little bit.
I don't know. Beth, thoughts?
No, it's obviously this is a little bit of a Christian saying, but it's, you know, talking about building your house upon sand or a solid foundation.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
No, it is. You know, and it's Christian from that standpoint, but it doesn't have to be Christian, nor does it only apply to those who are Christian.
No.
Ultimately, it applies to everybody. You know, if
just
you
because
can't...
it's a Christian principle doesn't mean it's not true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Christianity isn't the only religion that holds these principles.
No.
Quite honestly, you shouldn't have to have a religion to hold these principles. It should be obvious.
Yeah.
But we've learned to not particularly care about the obvious anymore for some reason. And it's all about the bright, shiny object. And I don't know if that's just the media that's broken us to that point, or the internet. It might be the internet, quite honestly. This just dawned on me. If you think about it, who are we friends with? We're friends with people all over the world now.
We are.
We legitimately we are. Should we be?
I like my friends though.
Yeah, I do too. Don't get me wrong. But this isn't how it should necessarily work.
No.
You know, in the days before the interwebs, you were focused on what was happening in your own little world.
Yeah.
So it was probably easier to focus on those foundational pieces.
Right.
Now, because we know people in Europe, all of a sudden we're like, ooh, this thing's going on in Europe. And it's easy to focus on that. And then you can go and support the person in Europe and say, hey, Europe person, I'm real sorry about what's happening over there. That sucks, man. And then you feel good about that. But in the meantime, you've ignored what's in your own backyard. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for the math problem here, with the exception of, again, I think it has to start at the family level, at a very personal level. For us, it starts with you and I.
Yeah.
We have to focus on us first, and the other stuff doesn't matter until that's right. And that's the way it should always be.
And then there's concentric circles moving out from that.
Yes.
After that, then we take care of Eli, and we take care of the other people in our house, and we take care of our pets.
Yeah, Zio stands up. Oh, what about me?
Yep.
Don't worry, you're included. Yeah, okay, go back to sleep. No, but it's true. I don't know. as doom and gloom as this particular live stream has been, I think in the same respect it all ties together.
Yeah.
From a what are we doing standpoint, and the standpoint of we need to focus on building from the inside out and not skipping steps and not ignoring the problems that are in front of us either.
Yeah.
But you can't just run to the problem and keep putting out fires. You've got to start with what's right in front of you, the concentric circles, and work your way out.
Yep.
I don't know. I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on this one, though. So if you are watching this, put it in the comments. You know, do you think we have a point here that we need to be focused on what matters most to start with? And I think personally that has to start at the family level and at the relationship level and then work out from there. Or do you think it's just fine that we're, you know, paying attention to all these other things going on around the world and not taking care of ourselves? Because that's what's happening. As an entire country, we are not taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And it will lead to the end. And if you don't believe me, refer to segment 1, where we talk about how all of a sudden a man who, quite honestly, isn't up to the job is in the lead, and how we've got stores closing all over the place and inflation out of control because our economy is out of control because we're not paying attention to it. We're not doing anything about it. And then look at segment 2, where we talk about how the Republicans, in case you think we're just ragging on the Democrats, how they're focused on putting 10 commandments in schools in Louisiana rather than actually doing things like fixing what's wrong with their state.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and join us every Monday and Wednesday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific for our live show.